Ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs, bienvenue au Sénat du Canada. Welcome to the Senate of Canada. We are gathered today to Investiture Ceremony of the Most Venerable Order of the Hospital of St. John of Jerusalem, Priory of Canada. I would like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the traditional unceded territory of the people, and though we come from all parts of this country, we gather on these lands that from time immemorial have been stewarded and shaped by Indigenous peoples, and to them we offer our gratitude and our respect. Simultaneous interpretation in both official languages is available. For guests on the Senate floor, earpieces are available at each desk, while receivers are affixed between the seats for the guests in the galleries. La traduction simultanée est disponible.
Simultaneous interpretation is available.
Des sièges dans les tribunes. Aujourd'hui, 26 personnes seront honorées par l'Ordre très vénérable de Jérusalem, l'un des plus anciens organismes de bienfaisance au monde. Grâce à ses admissions ou promotions au sein de l'Ordre, l'Ordre veut rendre hommage à des bénévoles extraordinaires venant des quatre coins de notre grand pays. We are honored to hold this event in this prestigious location, and for having made this possible, the Order wishes to thank the Honorable Raymond Gagné, Speaker of the Senate, and Mr. Greg Peters, the Usher of the Black Rod. We would like to acknowledge among us today Grade 1 members of the Order of St. John, Miss Mary Arthur, Dame Grand Cross, Mr. Richard Bruce, Mr. John Ma, and Mr. Robert White, Bailiffs Grand Cross. Also here with us are Brigadier General Andrew Atherton, representing the Chief of the Defence Staff, and Chief Superintendent Robin McNeil, representing the Commissioner of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Nous voulons également remercier.
We also would like to thank the Heart of the Ottawa Police under the direction of Carla McGregor, whose contributions enhanced the prestige of this occasion.
The Governor General's Foot Guards under the direction of Captain Samantha Parent. We wish to extend our special appreciation to the St. John Ambulance volunteers from Federal District for their continued support of the investiture ceremony of the Priory of Canada and other celebratory events. La cérémonie d'aujourd'hui sera présidée par notre...
Today's ceremony will be presided by our Lord Prior, Professor Mark Compton, assisted by Dr. André Lévesque, Chancellor of the Priory of Canada of the Most Venerable Order of the Hospital of St. John's of Jerusalem.
Singing of our national anthem. À la fin de la cérémonie, nous vous demandons de bien vouloir demeurer.
At the end of the ceremony, we'd like to ask you to stand following the signing of the royal anthem and remain in place until the procession of the Lord Prior, dignitaries, and newly promoted or admitted members has left the chamber.
Standing at your assigned places following the singing of God Save the King, and remain in place until the procession of the Lord Prior, the dignitaries, and the newly invested members have left the chamber. You are then invited to join them in the Senate foyer for a reception. We remind you to please silence your cellular phones for the duration of the event. We also ask that you refrain from taking photographs during the proceedings. Official photographs will be taken of each recipient and will later be provided to them. Veuillez mettre vos téléphones cellulaires en mode silence.
Could you please mute your telephones and not take photos during the ceremony? Official photos will be taken during the ceremony and will be given to you after the ceremony.
The Lord Prior of the Most Venerable Order of the Hospital of St. John of Jerusalem, le L'Ordre Prieur de l'Ordre très vénérable de l'Hôpital de Saint Jean de Jérusalem. Please rise. Veuillez vous lever.
Please rise.
Grandmother Irene of the Minwashin Lodge, celebrating 30 years of working there. She is an intergenerational survivor of the residential school system. Her work at the lodge supports women survivors of lethal violence, assisting them with safety plans, stabilization, healing, and employment, as well as educational achievement. Ms. Compton is the keeper of the stories of the Minwashin Sacred Lodge, which connects Indigenous women to their culture, identity, and pride. Ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to invite Grandmother Irene Compton to offer a traditional welcome for today's ceremony. Mesdames et messieurs, la grand-mère Irene Compton.
Ladies and gentlemen, Grandmother Irene Compton.
I'll be here again to sing a song for you. And this song is an honor song. And so it's to honor the courageousness, the bravery, and the unity of all of you who serve the people. I'm going to do 4 honor beats and go into this beautiful honor song. Thank you. Merci.
The Dean of the Priory, Major General the Reverend Guy Chapdelaine, will now read the opening invocation.
In respecting individual beliefs and conscience, I invite you to join me in prayer or to take this moment for personal reflection. Gracious God, as we gather today, we give you thanks for all that makes our lives rich with meaning, for our families and friendships, and for a calling to be in the service of others. Nous sommes reconnaissants de faire partie.
We are so grateful to be part of a country in which we have a constitution that protects the rights and freedoms of every person. We are very thankful for all of the people who answered the call to help their neighbor and to create a better world. We are praying for our nations, the nations who live on Turtle Island, in this country that we call Canada, and for those who live on Aboriginal territories in Canada.
Show us the way to healing, forgiveness, and reconciliation, and a renewed fellowship. We are especially thankful today for those who are to be honored with life-saving awards and service medals, and invested as members or promoted within the most venerable order of the Hospital of St. John of Jerusalem in recognition of their outstanding contributions to our community and to our nation. We are thankful for their families who have supported them and allowed them to dedicate themselves to the service of humanity. Nous soulignons avec fierté.
We would like to underscore with humility the extraordinary service of our members and of their duty for others that they have placed before themselves.
Order of the Hospital of St. John of Jerusalem, and all those who share our pledge, pro fide, pro utilitate hominum, for faith, for the service of humanity. In these words are found our inspiration, our guidance, and our mission. May our pledge be ever present in all that we do. Continue, we pray, to bless our King, Charles III, King of Canada, and our sovereign head, and our representative, Mary, our Prior and Governor General. The Duke of Gloucester, Richard, our Grand Prior, Mark, our Lord Prior, and André, our Chancellor. May we continue to be inspired by the example of those with whom we serve within the Order and St. John Ambulance. Theirs is a legacy of kindness, love, and compassion, which is so very needed in our world. We pray for all those who are in need, all those whose lives can be improved by the presence of those willing to take up the mantle of service. We offer this and all our prayers in your loving name. Amen.
Please be seated. Veuillez vous asseoir.
Please be seated.
Messieurs, I'm pleased to invite Mr. Greg Peters, Usher of the Black Rod, to read a message from the Governor General of Canada and Prior of the Priory of Canada of the Most Venerable Order, Her Excellency the Right Honourable Mary Simon. Un message de notre prieur du Prieuré du Canada de l'Ordre de Saint-Jean.
A message from the Governor General.
General. Un message de Son Excellence.
A message from Her Excellency the Governor General.
The Most Venerable Order of the Hospital of St. John of Jerusalem and Prior of the Priory of Canada, I am delighted to extend greetings to all those gathered for the 2023 Investiture Ceremony. Chaque année, les bénévoles.
Every year, St. John Ambulance volunteers collectively invest millions of hours to improve the health, safety, and well-being of Canadians. From coast to coast to coast, their kindness and skills are put to work in the service of humanity through training, community programs, and emergency response.
Ambulance can be proud of the vital role they play in our quality of life. And it was such a wonderful pleasure to learn that June 24th has just been proclaimed St. John Ambulance Day in Ottawa. I warmly commend today's honorees for their outstanding volunteerism and contributions to the charitable work of the Order of St. John. Toutes mes félicitations pour cette reconnaissance.
Congratulations on this well-deserved recognition. I wish you a wonderful ceremony. Thank you.
We will now proceed with the investiture of the candidates in the grade of knight. Adjudant-chef Marc Boucher, Second Lieutenant Adam Carter, Mr. Joe Varner. Please rise and come forward. Veuillez vous lever et vous avancer.
Please rise and come forward. Seigneur Prieur,
With the approval of the sovereign head of our order, you have promoted certain of our members to the high rank of knight. They are here present, awaiting the honor of being invested by you.
Do you promise to respect the governing authorities of the Grand Council of the Most Venerable Order as laid down in our royal charter, in all things consistent with your duty to your sovereign and your country? Comme le stipule notre charte royale,
do you promise to respect the governing authorities of the Grand Council of the Most Venerable Order as laid down in our royal charter, in all things consistent with your duty to our sovereign and your country?
power to contribute to the dignity, prosperity, and usefulness of the order, opposing everything that is detrimental to its well-being, and devoting yourselves to the objects and purposes of the order, especially in the care of the sick and injured? And will you conduct yourselves always as knights of honor? Ferez-vous tout ce qui est en votre pouvoir pour contribuer?
Will you do all in your power to contribute to the dignity, prosperity, and usefulness of the order, opposing everything that is detrimental to its well-being, and devoting yourselves to the objects and purposes of the order, especially the care of the sick and the injured? And will you conduct yourselves always as knights of honor?
I present to you these knights to be invested in accordance with the statutes of the order.
By virtue of the powers vested in me, I am about to invest you as knights of this most venerable order. Remember, the cross which I shall place around your neck is an outward sign of your duty to act in the service of the poor, the sick, and the suffering.
Pour être investi en tant que chevalier de grâce, je présente
I will now present Marc-Joseph Boucher, Chief Warrant Officer, as an example of leadership, ethics, and dedication over the past 20 years with St. John Ambulance. Mr. Boucher has been an important pillar in all the teams that he has been part of, contributing to the advancement of their objectives. Chief Warrant Officer Marc-Joseph Luc Boucher.
To be invested as a Knight of Justice, I present Second Lieutenant Adam James Dickinson Carter, Fenwick, Ontario. Mr. Carter has demonstrated excellence at the highest standard of care in the various leadership and governance roles held over the years. He demonstrates his commitment and devotion by supporting an inclusive environment of togetherness and diversity, which maintains the integrity of our values. Second Lieutenant Adam James Dickinson Carter. To be invested as a Knight of Grace, I present Joseph Bruce Varner, Ottawa, Ontario. As Chair and immediate past Chair of Federalist District Council, Mr. Varner has been an agent for change at both the regional and national levels and made a significant contribution in the area of governance, government relations, and financial recovery plans, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. Joseph Bruce Varner.
We welcome you as Knights of the Order of St. John. May you continue to be faithful members of the Order. Be loyal to your sovereign and country, true to your honour, and faithful to the purpose and objectives of the Order. I offer you my congratulations and best wishes.
To receive the insignia of Commander, recevront l'insigne de Commandeur. Danny Hood, Québec.
To receive the insignia of Commander. Danny Hood. Danny Hood, from his early days with St. John Ambulance, has moved from one leadership position to another while delivering the services required to his community from the local, regional, and provincial levels. Danny Hood.
Major Raymond David Valentine, retired, Victoria, British Columbia. Mr. Valentine has demonstrated over an extended period of time his outstanding effort, dedication, and passion to help St. John increase its effectiveness, which allowed the brigade to respond to the community's needs during the pandemic crisis. Major Raymond David Valentine. Andrew Preston Wilder, Greeley, Ontario. Mr. Wilder has been active in both his local community as well as at the national and international levels, following his tenure as the Ontario Provincial Commissioner, where his leadership, energy, and creativity were amply demonstrated, including through his ongoing extensive social media outreach within his different roles. Andrew Preston Wilder. To receive the insignia of officer, recevront l'insigne d'officier.
To receive the insignia of officer, Hélène Caron, Laval, Quebec. Madame Caron has shown exceptional dedication, keeping volunteers mentally healthy, especially during the pandemic, offering community services when needed, and keeping their interest in learning active through online meetings. Hélène Caron. Lieutenant-colonel Stanley Anthony Grabstas, retraité. Monsieur Grabstas entretient une relation de longue
when he passed his first aid course, then as a cadet and a crusader. During his many military postings, both in Canada and overseas, his relationship was maintained and got stronger as Mr. Grabstas took on numerous assignments at increasing levels of complexity and responsibility. Lieutenant Colonel Stanley Anthony Grabstas. Lucy Hood, Irlande, Québec. Avec son sens de la rigueur.
With her sense of rigor and reliability, Mrs. Hood demonstrates her leadership and ability to find innovative, sustainable, and relevant solutions in a dynamic and developmental approach to issues that arise on a daily basis. Lucy Hood.
Marie-Corinne Nadine.
Marie-Corinne Nadine Laflamme, Lévis, Quebec. Madame Laflamme has played a major role of provincial importance in the training of a large number of master instructors and other instructors in Quebec, as well as many volunteers who have raised to the level of first responder training. Marie-Corinne Nadine Laflamme.
Stittsville, Ontario. Mr. McLaren led a team providing opioid poisoning awareness training, also distributing naloxone kits to combat the opioid poisoning epidemic sweeping across Canada. Supported by the Government of Canada, this countrywide program reaches thousands of at-risk people, a clear example of St. John's core mission of service to humanity. Sean Ian McLaren. Cassandra Truman, Surrey, British Columbia. With 17 years of volunteer service with St. John Ambulance, Cassandra Truman is currently the National Office Training Specialist. She contributes countless hours to British Columbia and Yukon Council as Area Training Officer in Lower Mainland Community Services. Cassandra Truman. To receive the insignia of member, recevront l'insigne de membre.
To receive the insignia of member.
Colombia. Despite the challenges of the global pandemic, Mr. Ahadzade's leadership, dedication to his wider team, and his commitment to service have led to a threefold increase of his divisional membership. He also leads in mentoring and inspiring the cadets to stay involved in the Burnaby Adult Division. Farhang Ahadzadeh. Caporal Yannick Bibot, Alouette, Québec. Monsieur Bibot.
Corporal Yannick Bibot. Mr. Bibot has been a dedicated volunteer for the past 10 years, despite his postings within the Canadian Armed Forces and training in regions far from his divisions. Since June 2020, he has been co-director of the newly rebuilt Saguenay Division. Corporal Yannick Bibot.
L'adjudant-maître Éric Filion, Edwards, Ontario. Durant plus de 3 décennies, l'adjudant-maître Éric Filion a fait preuve de service dévoué à l'ambulance Saint-Jean avec plus de 8000 heures de service volontaire à plusieurs unités, y compris au district fédéral, dans divers postes de haute responsabilité. L'adjudant-maître Éric Filion. Sébastien Gendron, Gatineau, Québec. Principal phare de notre organisation dans la région de l'Outaouais.
The leading light of our organization in the Outaouais region, Mr. Gendron guides and dedicates himself at all levels, embodying perseverance, service to others, and the values of a prosperous Canadian society demonstrating ongoing exemplary service. Sébastien Gendron.
Le major Stéphane Girard, Gatineau, Québec. Le Major Stéphane Girard a occupé plusieurs positions.
Major Stéphane Girard has held several positions leading to civil security planning, especially during the pandemic period, where his creativity enabled him to find personnel to cover shifts during emergency periods. Major Stéphane Girard.
Benjamin R. Holden, Regina, Saskatchewan. Mr. Holden is a well-respected CEO who has demonstrated exceptional service with a leadership style which was supportive of both employees and volunteers, as well as a remarkable ability to develop the kinds of strategic partnerships which greatly benefit the organization. Benjamin R. Holden. Ying Lei Huang, Vancouver, British Columbia. Miss Huang is a dedicated cadet volunteer, always leading from the front, rolling up her sleeves and helping whenever and wherever needed. She is an inspiration to all those who serve with her, and her mentoring positively influenced the junior leaders of her division. Ying Lei Luang. Gabriela Kwan, Burnaby, British Columbia. Miss Kwan is a dedicated volunteer who has taught and mentored members of the youth, from youth to adults, training them in first aid and leadership. As a very successful liaison officer, she has been a positive impact on both volunteers and the general public. Gabriela Kwan.
Guy Langlois, Laval, Quebec. It's thanks to Mr. Langlois' extraordinary efforts that the management situation, budget, volunteer training, and application of the strategic plan have enabled the Conseil du Québec to remain in balance despite the impact of COVID. Guy Langlois.
Richard Nian Chu Liu, Burnaby, British Columbia. Richard Liu's dedication, devotion to duty, willingness to excel, and forward-thinking can-do spirit during the pandemic launched new initiatives that propelled the Burnaby Division into the local, provincial, national, and international stages, but also got support from all levels of government. Richard Nian Chu Liu. Philip Lurol, West Kelowna, British Columbia. Mr. Lurol has gone well above the job description of being an administrative officer, demonstrating how he cares for his members, the divisions he works with, and the general public whenever he is on duty as a St. John First Aid attendant. Philip Lurol. Trong Dan Nguyen, Ottawa, Ontario. Mr. Nguyen demonstrates a respect for human needs through his work by contributing to the mission, vision, and values of St. John through the unselfish giving of his time, knowledge, and expertise. Leading by example, he exemplifies the values of devotion, inclusiveness, teamwork, and respect. Trong Dan Nguyen. Stephanie Pilkey, Guelph, Ontario. Miss Pilkey is a dedicated leader among her peers. She is respected not only for her knowledge and skills, but also for her willingness to share and enrich those around her. She exemplifies St. John's commitment to support communities with her tireless support at events. Stephanie Pilkey.
Charles Veillette, Quebec, Quebec. Since joining St. John Ambulance, Dr. Veillette has distinguished himself through his knowledge and in-depth involvement in volunteer training in the Montreal region, and especially through his exemplary conduct during the COVID-19 pandemic. Charles Veillette.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in congratulating all of today's recipients. Joignez-vous à moi afin de féliciter tous nos récipiendaires. Mesdames et messieurs, ceci conclut la...
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our ceremony for the Venerable St. John's Order.
Investiture Ceremony of the Most Venerable Order of the Hospital of St. John of Jerusalem. Please rise for the royal anthem and the departure of the Lord Prior, dignitaries, and recipients.